Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mace. I'm coming to you from Canada. I'm in British Columbia. I'm out on the west coast. Weather's beautiful. Feels like spring. Sun is shining. Birds are buzzing. Bees are pollinating. I hope. A Redditor prompted Reddit. Non-Americans of Reddit. What was your most ignorant thing that you've heard an American say about your country? Let's get into it. I liked the comment on the last video. Somebody said, this is the only stream of content which is infinite, infinity, and beyond. Yeah. All right, let's hop into it. Make sure to leave a comment down below. When I was in Louisiana, I asked for a cell phone voucher at a petrol station. The lady asked what language she should print it in, because she could sense a bit of an accent. I said, English, please. To which she asked, where are you from? England. And she said, y'all don't speak French there? If I hadn't heard it with my own ears, I'd never have believed it. Was there never a truer statement? If I hadn't heard it with my own ears, I'd never have believed it. That's so many of these comments are like, right? So many of these stories that we see, so many of these stories that we read. It's like, how do these people exist? Just like those videos of the dudes who interview people on the streets in Times Square or Santa Monica Beach or wherever. They interview these Americans of all ages, mind you, and the simplest question, the easiest questions, they can't answer. And they're often living in such a bubble of American ignorance that it's astounding, literally astounding. All right, next one. Didn't happen to me, but a Norwegian was working at the Epcot Center in Disney World when an American lady asked her, do you have as much problems with the Vikings as we do with the Negroes? Huh? What? 2 for 1. Ignorance and bigotry. Damn. I'm from the UK, England, and I once had an American tell me, you don't speak English, we speak English, you speak British. We often see the Americans say that they speak American, which is even more funny. But telling a a British person that they speak British is also wild. Wild. Very wild. Beggar's belief. I was chatting with an American friend on Skype. I'm Canadian. And it was election day here. I told her, I have to go vote, but I'll be back in less than an hour. Her response, what? Y'all vote up there? I thought you had a queen or something. I told her to use the hour that I was gone to look up the Wikipedia entry on parliamentary democracy. What would that even mean? I thought you had a queen or something. Thinking that we're just England, I guess. After telling him that I was from London, he responded by saying, I didn't know you had black people in England. I'm more surprised you didn't say African American. Yeah. Boxes getting checked. That's the decades-long conflict in Britain with the IRA, was just the odd cafe shooting or something, and nothing of consequence or terror. I wouldn't expect an American to know what the IRA even means, so this dialogue happens more than it should. They, where are you from? Me, Tunisia. They, where is that? Africa, North Africa. But you are not black. Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. Nice. Someone was shocked that Canada had its own money. They said, y'all have your own money up there. This was in Vegas, where I would have expected them to be familiar with non-Americans. Yeah, Vegas, one of the biggest destinations for Canadian tourists. However, I think we all know the numbers have borne out that tourism to the U.S. is down significantly worldwide, very significantly. Surprisingly often, people seem to think my country is called Amsterdam. Who are these Americans? Even some TV shows and movies seem to depict it as such. Amsterdam, of course, is a famous city in the Netherlands, also sometimes called Holland. The Dutchies, the Dutchmen. Yeah, who thinks Amsterdam is a country? It's funny how words like music, like movies, like art, language, everything basically that we absorb in our observable environment, everything that we perceive, can trigger different thoughts in our minds. Like, I read the word Amsterdam, and I thought of the film Pulp Fiction, right? The iconic opening scene, Royale with cheese. You know how their French fries in Amsterdam? They don't dip them in ketchup. They dip them in mayonnaise. Drown the shit in. I don't know it verbatim, but Tarantino can certainly write some incredible dialogue. He can be insufferable sometimes, but I find him entertaining. I find his interviews interesting to watch. He's so manic, so animated, and he also speaks, like, he just says what he thinks. So that whole thing with Paul Dano, I was just like, people should know by now that Tarantino says things like that, and he's not always right. I don't know if he is arrogant enough to think that he is always right. Like, maybe he does have some self-reflection about his opinions. Because when he said Paul Dano is the weakest actor in Hollywood, which it's a subjective opinion, but also, from my estimation, a pretty stupid thing to say, considering the resume that Paul Dano has. He's a great actor. In films like Prisoners and There Will Be Blood, and I don't think it's his best performance, but the villain in The Batman. He's a good actor. So, Tarantino, amazing director. However, I do feel he's gotten a bit pretentious. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is probably my least favorite Tarantino film. I really like Hateful Eight, actually. I think it's great. But yeah, moving on from Tarantino. He didn't know that in the Southern Hemisphere, the seasons are opposite to the North. When I explained to him that in Australia it's summer in December, he became aggressive and called me a stupid bitch. Wow. That's just simple ignorance. Yes, Australia has different seasons than we do, like many other places in the world. I'm going to the Philippines in a few months. It's going to be very hot, but also they don't even really have like a winter as an American might perceive. They have the rainy season. So if it's December, January, our winter is basically just really rainy and stormy there, and our summer is extremely hot there. Even then, I may be wrong on that. There's that little difference between Scottish and Irish accents. The fact is, some people from Ireland can't understand those from the East End of Glasgow, and vice versa. Some people from Glasgow can't understand those from the East End of Glasgow. Yeah, the UK, some wild accents, in Ireland and Scotland and Wales. Interesting. Me and a friend traveled through California a couple years ago, and whenever we told someone we're German, the response was, "Oh, so you're a Nazi." Very original. Who would say that? Some of these are very hard to believe, but, truth is stranger than fiction a lot of the times, right? That's wild. You just call somebody a Nazi because they're German? That makes no sense. Whenever I get asked if I'm a Nazi, I tell them to ask the dead Jews in my garden. That's some dark humor. Then again, my humor is shitty, so whatever works best to answer that ignorant question. Yeah, that's a pretty wild response, but, yeah, you're dealing with wild people. Sweden? Do you speak French or German there? I never been to Sweden. Is that in Africa? An American, but I lived in Russia for 2 years. It's ironic, in a sad, sad way, that the same people who told me how Russia was filled with mindless Putin thugs are now the same ones who are lining up behind Trump. Yeah. Trump's not doing so well. I think his approval ratings are tanking. You know, I think the Iran war is hugely unpopular, and he will be remembered as one of the worst presidents and worst humans in the history of humanity, of civilization. Maybe Putin and Trump will be friends. I think Trump and Putin already are friends. Putin's like rubbing his hands together, just having a good chuckle at everything that's happening. Trump is doing everything that Putin wants right now, essentially. You know, taking his focus off Ukraine, disrupting the Middle East, probably helping Putin in a lot of ways. Trump, of course, very easily influenced, I think, and the amount of corruption is just pretty wild. An American I was talking to online asked me if we had cars in Norway, because his mother had said Norwegians don't have cars. No, Norwegians, they ride reindeer. Yeah, as far as I understand. They don't ride, well, they ride reindeer, but they also have reindeer sleds. So that's kind of what they do. That's how they roll. I was talking to someone on Twitter, and when I told her where I come from, she said, "You have computers in Zimbabwe?" Nah, not at all. We use chickens to tweet. Yeah, no computers are allowed in Africa. Africa is such a beautiful country. This seems to be one that's very common, not even just with Americans, people thinking that Africa is a country. It's a huge area, Africa, and it has how many countries are within Africa? I would say like 40, 50? I don't know. I should know, but I know Namibia is where they filmed Mad Max Fury Road. Just another weird brain thought that came to my brain department. I'm British. I have an American friend I chat to all the time. He asked me if our currency is a dollar. Like, even he now appreciates that he grew up in an American bubble of sorts. British have the British pound. However, they were using the euro, right, before the Brexit, I suppose. I would say that we're all drunks, but we kind of are all drunks. Also, it's Paddy's Day, not Paddy's Day. I don't know why that annoys me so much. This must be... Is this an Irish person? Yes, the stereotype that Irish are heavy drinkers. Either that I, a Canadian, must enjoy the hot Florida sun when I live in an igloo. We don't just live in igloos. We ride polar bears to work. Or that all Canadians have the accented O. Sure, some parts of Canada have the stereotypical Canadian accent, but Torontonians, not so much. Have you heard many people speak from northern Minnesota? Now that accent sounds Canadian. Fargo, anybody? Oh, hey. Morning, Margie. I'll make you some eggs, Margie. You hungry, Margie? I'm from Denmark. I've had people ask if it was a city in Sweden or in the UK. They asked if Denmark was a city. In Sweden? That's rather specific for a for a misassumption. And people generally not believing it's an actual country. A lot of people also refer to Europe as a country and believe that everyone here spoke the same language, British English. Wow, that's wild. This might be a compliment to my American accent, but when I was in New York City, a woman asked what state Denmark was in. I told her that it was a country in Europe, and she asked if it was an English country. Not sure what she meant. I replied, "No, we speak Danish back home, if that's what you mean." To which she asked, "Then how come you can speak English?" She was really sweet, though, so I just explained that we have a good school system and took the entire thing as a compliment. That's probably a good policy. Just don't engage and humor them for a moment and just move on with your life. I am originally from Hong Kong. In middle school in the US, when I first told classmates this, many replied, "Oh yeah, that's awesome. How's Japan?" They thought Hong Kong is part of Japan. They didn't even know where Hong Kong or Japan were on a map. Of course they didn't. Americans in geography are like water and oil. They don't mix whatsoever. Anytime anything that happens in the UK is mentioned on Fox News, the coverage varies from cringeworthy to outright offensive. Yeah, even political pundits on Fox News. I mean, not even, what am I saying? Political pundits on Fox News are maybe the most ignorant, or maybe not. Maybe they're not ignorant. That's likely the case. They likely know what they're doing. Propagandizing. You know, they're peddlers of propaganda, basically, essentially. I'm from America, but my mother is an immigrant from Portugal. So I don't know if this counts, but one time I had somebody tell me Portugal had been a colony of Spain for most of its history. I told him that wasn't true, and he said, "Really? Why do you speak Spanish there?" I told him that wasn't true as well. They speak Portuguese. And he responded by looking at me sort of quizzically before rapidly changing the subject. Yeah. And listen, ignorance is ignorance. But arrogance in doubling down on ignorance, I think, is where a lot of people get annoyed with Americans and their America's the best country. America's the best country ever. You know, the rest of the world gets to live because America protects you. Trump, even in a speech recently, he was triggered by Mark Carney's speech, and he said, "Canada should be grateful. You should be grateful that we allow you to live." Yeah. Yep. I'm speaking quietly today. That's fine. This video probably won't get much watch time, but that's okay. What do I care? I'm chilling like a villain. Everything's good. Next one. It was cute, so I'll let her get away with it, but I was visiting a friend in the lovely rolling hills of New York State. He's got a daughter who was 4 at the time. She's on the floor doing a puzzle where each piece is a state and they fit into a board that has the United States drawn on it. She asks me to help, so I sit on the floor and start putting states in their spots. She's good at this game and goes, "This one is where I live," and places New York in its proper spot. "Where do you live?" she asks. I point to the formless gray mass north of the border. "I live right about here." I'm Canadian. She looks at me and says, "You can't live there. There's nothing up there." To be fair, we're speaking about a 4-year-old, so I don't think we can really fault them too much on that one. However, you would likely hear a 34-year-old or a 54-year-old American say the same thing. They can't pick out Canada on a map. And what borders on stupidity? Canada and Mexico. Yeah, that's right. I'm from England. Therefore, I must be best friends with the Queen. Yes, everybody in England knows everybody, and they all go to the pub and drink pints. Do you know Benedict Cumberbatch? Oh yeah, I live next door to him. Is Hitler still in charge of Germany? No, he's in charge of Argentina. That everyone in my country wants to blow them up. You must be Canadian. Yeah. I live in South India, and there's a beach a few miles from my house where there are tourists, usually year-round. I go there at times when I want to be alone with my thoughts. I was doing this one day when a blonde guy with a Texas t-shirt and some shorts approached me and went, "Taxi? Where?" And he was gesturing a car with his hand and had a shit-faced smile, shit-eating grin, like I was some dumbass kid who didn't know English. I don't have an American accent, but I went, "Go straight, then left, dude." And he was dumbfounded. I replied in English, "Amsterdam? Oh, I love Amsterdam. Great country. Oh, yeah, it's great. I wonder what Amsterdam's capital is, though." All right, we already saw that one earlier. Here we go, somebody referencing Pulp Fiction. Somebody also had the same neurons connecting. You can walk into a movie theater in Amsterdam and buy a beer And I'm not talking about no paper cup. I'm talking about a glass of beer. Vincent from Pulp Fiction. I was once sincerely asked if I'd met the Loch Ness Monster. What? Again, beggars belief. Oh, which part of China is Singapore located at? No, Singapore is a country, darling. American tourists refusing to travel around Italy by train because renting a car is faster than, quote-unquote, shitty Amtrak. Milan to Rome by car, 7 hours. By train, 2 hours and 50 minutes. Yes, because Europe actually has feasible and operational, effective high-speed train. North America, nope. We need parking lots. Shopping malls. That's what we need. That apparently the elderly get euthanized against their will here in the Netherlands. Okay. My father-in-law does not know what country his married daughter lives in or what the name of the capital is. We've been living here for a little over a decade. What? Where do you live? I want to find out too. Netherlands, aka Holland. Capital is Amsterdam. He keeps referring to it as Denmark. I'm guessing because Dutch also starts with D. Listen, as we spoke about before, you cannot expect Americans to be knowledgeable about geography. You just can't expect it. You can't. And yes, there's millions of educated, wonderful Americans, but there's also about 70 million more who couldn't pick out Canada on a map. So, went to college with a girl from Ireland. Guy asked her how she learned English so well. She told him it was a crash course in Turkey. I think I'm going to call it a day for today. Just getting a video out there. We'll see you all in the next one. I will finish this video. I'll finish this thread. It's quite fun. I'll be much more animated next time. That I can guarantee you. That I can guarantee you. If anyone knows Reddit, it's me. That I can tell you. I'm an unbelievable computer programmer. I actually know how to code. I've been learning since I was 3. I invented Reddit, okay? That I can tell you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.